Thanks for attending the webinar, The World is Changing, Should Your Logo Change Too? I'm your host today. My name is Whalen, and I've been in the printing industry for 3.5 decades. My bio is on your screen, and as you're reading that, I want to tell you about that orange that you see. Why is it human nature that when we go to buy oranges, we look for the richest, orangest orange we can find? That's because seeing is believing. But did you know that there's no correlation between the color of an orange peel and the actual flavor? You see, oranges are picked when they're green, and at that point, they'll be the richest and most flavorful as they'll ever be. When they're taken to the processing plant, they are gassed with a ethylene gas, and that breaks down the chlorophyll, which turns the peel from green to orange. So we make a buying decision on what's on the inside based on what we see on the outside. And every day in business, in every city across our nation, the same thing happens. People are making buying decisions on not knowing what's on the inside based on what they see on the outside. That's why a logo is so important. Now, aren't you glad you joined us for this webinar? Let's get started. A few disclaimers. We're not trying to sell you a new logo. You need to brace for criticism. Anytime you make a change, not everybody will like it. Let's get into our overview. Top 3 reasons why a trucking company should adopt a new logo. We're going to look at the 10 best qualities to any great logo. And then we're going to look at the 5 easy do-it-yourself steps to update your logo. And then we'll conclude, actually throughout the entire presentation, we're going to glance at over 150 logos. We'll see the oldest ever trademark, the currently most expensive ever paid for. We'll look at the best in the industry, and throughout the presentation, we'll see the best in the world. Let's begin with a foundation. What is a logo? It comes from the Greeks, the word logos, meaning word. Our definition today, it's a symbol or graphic representation used to instantly identify a company. History of symbols, we use them for everything. Think of coins, country flags, coat of arms, crests. We even use it in grammar. You see the ampersand on the screen, which represents the word and. It's a shorthand. In the modern economy, we use it for differentiation. What happens now is that most things are mass-produced. Back in the day, when things were handcrafted, the individual product was symbolic and representation of its craftsmanship and quality. Today, things are mass-produced in hundreds of thousands, tens of millions. An example is McDonald's, a hamburger. They make billions a year. Doesn't matter if you buy it in Japan or California, the symbol for the quality is the golden arches. You can be sure the taste and recipes are going to be consistent no matter where you buy that product. We're going to look at the top 3 reasons why a trucking company should adopt a new logo. The first reason is when your logo doesn't transform easily between different media. We're going to look at 3 types of media today. We're going to look at print, we're going to look at personal computers, and then the fastest growing segment, which is handheld devices, your smartphones and tablets. Let's take a look at printing. Now, this is one of my pet peeves as a person who's been in printing for more than 35 years. Oftentimes, people hire a creative person, a graphic artist, to create a logo, and they can come up with something that's aesthetically appealing. You like it, you buy it. Then all of a sudden, you try to reproduce that logo in a manufacturing environment, and you find it's problematic. Some of the symptoms are extra charges for setup and make ready and plates and run charges and ink charges. So we're going to take a quick walk through a manufacturing plant. So join me. The first place in our plant is an offset lithography press. You see a sample on your screen. It uses metal plates. Think of air conditioning ducts in your house. That bright, shiny aluminum, that's a metal plate. Now, metal plates are used for offset printing, things like flyers, business forms, and the ink process is indicated below. There are 2 types. You'll see in the bottom left of your screen, CMYK. You'll see 4 dots underneath that. That represents the 4 color processes, 4 colors in process printing that can be overlapped in such a way to create any color. The C stands for cyan. You see the blue there on the left. Above that, you see M for magenta, then yellow, and then K. Well, what the heck is K? Well, it actually stands for black. It's the key color. The K stands for key that all other colors register to. That's one way of printing your logo on a press. Another way is spot PMS colors. Now, I know what you're thinking, PMS, but it's not that. It stands for Pantone Matching System. It's a scientific way to make sure that everybody is using the exact same colors. Think of going to your hardware store to paint your kid's room. You buy a can of colored paint. It's already pre-mixed. You don't get 4 separate colors to mix together. It's already one color. As we walk through our plant, you realize you need to order some envelopes and labels. Now, we don't have a picture of the actual flexographic press here, but we have a picture of the rubber plate that is used. Now, a rubber plate, think of a passport, and you go to a different country and they stamp it with a stamp to show that you've gone through their customs. That's basically a rubber plate. This is used to make things like envelopes and labels, and the ink process is strictly PMS, the Pantone Matching System. As we continue through our production plant, we'll see that you need some apparel made. Most companies use shirts and caps to promote their companies. This uses a fabric mesh. It's called screen printing, and it uses also the PMS colors. So far, as we walk through our plant, you'll see that the presses look differently. The plates are certainly different, metal, rubber, mesh, but it doesn't stop there. The ink color processes are different. And now we're going to look at some of the higher technology in our plant, which is digital printing. It's a glorified copy machine. It can be 2 types, inkjet, which uses wet inks, uses nozzles that spray droplets, or it could be laser, which uses a dry toner, which is more common today, using an electrically charged drum. The ink process is 2 types. CMYK we're familiar with, but now we're going to introduce another type of printing process to get your logo printed on products, and that is RGB. Well, what does that stand for? If you look at your screen on the bottom right-hand side, you'll see 3 circles. When those dots are overlapped, red, green, and blue, you can see they can create any color. You see yellow and magenta and black. So now we're going to take a look at personal computers, the second category, why a logo doesn't transform easily between different media. So you've designed a great logo, you put it on your website, and you think you're done. Well, the problem is that logo doesn't necessarily scale well between different makes and models and qualities of monitors. Think of going to Costco or at Best Buy, and you see their electronics department, they all have 4 or 5 screens showing the exact same program. Why is it that one screen looks rich and inviting and others look washed out? Well, these are the problems that you face. When you go into different offices, you'll find out they have different makes and models and streamlined resolution of printers. They can even be the old CRT, as you see on the right-hand side of your screen. And these use an RGB process. And that brings us to handheld devices, the fastest growing market segment. So you design something that looks great on your website, but today most people aren't going to go to a PC to view your website. They're going to look at it on a mobile device, a personal computer, a tablet, and this uses the RGB process. So your logo has to transform easily between print, PC, and handheld devices. Let's take a look at a couple of examples. This is an example for the California Trucking Association. We print both their personal note cards and their envelopes. On the left, the personal note card, you'll see is 4-color process. The logo is full color, it's vibrant. We use a digital process to manufacture that, the CMYK, or process printing. But they also need envelopes. They mail out membership dues every month, and they need a number 10 regular envelope to accomplish that. But the problem is, as we saw earlier, envelopes use a rubber plate, flexographic. It would take 1 rubber plate for every color that the customer wants to lay down, and then those colors have to be registered, there's make ready. It takes long quantities and it's very expensive. So as a result, it's not cost effective to do envelopes in full color yet. And so the customer in their branding ends up forced to show their logo one way, 4-color process on the personal note cards, and yet another way on the envelopes, less than ideal. Next, we have Mountain Valley Express. You'll see a business card on the bottom left hand of your screen and a shirt on the right. What's the problem here? Well, the customer's logo is intended to be 2 colors, a Forest Kelly green and a metallic gold. Business cards are printed using the CMYK process typically. And the problem is that the customer has chosen an ink color it's hard to replicate using CMYK. Although that process can print literally millions of colors, it doesn't do fluorescent colors. Think of the bright neon pinks and yellows and oranges and greens. And it doesn't do metallic inks, which is inks that have actually metal flakes in it. think of bronze and copper and silver and gold, and the customer's logo is gold. So when you try to replicate a metallic gold using CMYK, it ends up sometimes turning out brown instead of gold or yellow. That's why it can be problematic. On the shirt side, you'll see we're not using the 4 colors to create the logo. We're using spot colors, and we can have less difficulty, but it's still a challenge to get metallic ink on a shirt. Now, does that mean all logos are horrible in the print process? No. On your screen, you'll see 4 logos that reproduce really well. They have one thing in common, that is they use flat graphics and they cut down a number of ink colors. You'll notice these logos have 2 or less colors, and there's really no special effects going with it, no shadowing, no 3D, etc. And they also all have a hidden message. Look at FedEx between the E and the X, you'll see in the white space an arrow. Baskin Robbins in the capital B and R, you'll see in magenta the letters 31 standing for 31 flavors. Sun Corporation, you'll see 2 U's stacked up on top of each other in the top left-hand corner representing the letter S for sun. And on the Pittsburgh Zoo, you'll see a tree, but in the white space below on the left, you'll see the face of a gorilla, on the right, a lioness. So the conclusion is a well-designed logo is versatile to use in many different mediums. It works well on a business card, on the web, in ads, in video, in every medium. Another reason a trucking company should adopt a new logo is a logo can look dated, generic looking, complicated, difficult to reproduce, time-stamped, overuse of special effects, hard to read and recognize. Look at Pacific Truck and Auto Towing on your screen. Immediately your eye is drawn to that A, and the middle of that A should be white space, but it's plugged. Why is that? That's because in the printing process, when you lay down small dots, sometimes those dots can connect to each other, make a puddle, or sometimes they can dissipate. Now, if this particular customer had original first generation artwork and then bid the job out for something and went to a second printer, and that printer didn't have original first generation artwork, they end up reproducing it in its second generation, and the likelihood of it having problems increases. Then they bid it out again and use the third printer. Well, now we're a long ways from the original artwork. Think of making a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy, and you'll understand what I mean. Now look below that, you'll see star logo, and that doesn't have the gain or dissipation of ink, but it has other challenges. It's fragmented. It has a lasso going around the word star. You have copy above, copy below. You have the word concrete, redundant, less than ideal. And then on the bottom right of your screen, you have Clayton Transportation LLC. And this is a 4-color process logo. Look at my picture in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. That's made of the CMYK process, and so is the Clayton Transportation logo. The problem is you go to reproduce this logo on envelopes, labels, that all the detail is going to get lost. That boot, instead of looking like a boot, could look like a brown L. And the shadowing effect behind the C could get plugged as well. But there are some positive reasons to consider changing your new logo, and that is if you're taking on a new culture, approach, or direction. Integration of new technology is an example. Sustainable fleet, market expansion. Here's an example of a company, MBE SCS. It had an old logo, and they launched a new approach in the marketplace, expanded, and now they have this new logo on the right. Here's another example of a before and after logo. How much did Pepsi-Cola spend on this new design that has this gravitational look to the earth? The answer is $1 million. How'd you like to spend $1 million to have your logo revamped? I understand they got a 30-page report with it, so I'm sure that helped. So let's review. Top 3 reasons why a trucking company, or any company for that matter, should adopt a new logo. 1, when your logo doesn't transform easily between different media, and you probably already know this. If you're getting dinged with extra charges for setups, for plates, for inks, for anything of that nature, you have a problematic logo. The second reason is the logo could look dated. And finally, company can take on a new culture, approach, and direction. And if you're doing that, what a great time to draw attention to your company with a new brand and a new look that coincides with this new culture. Now we're going to take a look at the 10 best qualities of any great logo. And I have a homework assignment for you. Of grab your logo, a business card, an envelope, something that has it printed on it, and I'm going to have you take a test as we review the top 10 best qualities of any great logo. I want you to give yourself a point for every one of these attributes that your logo has, okay? And we're going to rate that at the end of this section. Number one, is it functional? I've been harping on this. A logo needs to be work well on a pen, a cell phone, the side of a truck, maximum 2 ink colors, and flat graphics. That way it works well in production as well as it looks good aesthetically. Amazon.com is a perfect example. Black logo with a little gold smile underneath it, 2-color, has a hidden message, A to Z. They sell everything from A to Z in it, and it works well on everything. So if your logo is 2 or less colors of ink, and has flat graphics, give yourself a point. Number 2, take a look at Toyota. Simple. If your logo is simple, it should not require a circle or a box or any shapes around it. Remember Star Concrete we reviewed earlier? That is an example of a logo that is not simple. And your logo should also look good in color in black and white. Take it over to a copy machine, make a photocopy of it. If it is as well branded and stands out just as nice, then you've got a simple design logo. Number 3, should grab attention. We talked about McDonald's and the golden arches. Does your logo have a wow factor? Test it. If it's eye-catching, that's great. If it's not, it needs more intellectual consideration. And I love the game concentration with my kids and grandkids. Take a deck of cards, 52 cards, put 26 colored matching logos underneath. When I say 26 different logos, 2 of each, and then have the kids pay concentration. You're going to find certain logos like the McDonald's golden arches are quickly identifiable. No matter where they are in the scattered cards, they'll match those up quickly. Can your logo pass the same test? If it grabs attention, give yourself a point. This is one of my favorite, professional. How often do we get a chance to look at the evolution of over 100 years of a logo? Shell Oil provides us that opportunity. Look where the logo started in 1900. Then you notice about 1948, they added their name to it. That lasted about 50 years. And in 1999, they went just to an icon. Why is that? Well, because today we're in a faster, more complex world. And the paradox of that is logos need to be simpler to increase the speed of recognition. Give yourself a point if your logo is professional. Hidden meaning, another one of my favorites. Double meanings tell a visual story that is relevant to the company. The ability to read letters and words and then see a picture relevant to the text. So look for hidden pictures or symbols. Spartan Golf Club. You see a golfer with his club over his shoulder, and that arc above him represents the speed or the velocity of his swing. Or is it really? If you look at the elbow of the golfer, you'll see that is the nose of a Spartan soldier, and that arc represents his helmet. If you look above at our CTA Printing Co-op logo and compare that to the CTA Trucking Association logo on either left or the right, you'll see some similarities. We have the exact same blue truck in it, and both are on a highway. But the similarities stop there. Why is that? Ours, we reduce colors down to 2, use flat graphics. And you'll notice that the sun in both are different. The CTA Printing Co-op looks a little more artistic. But the reality is you're not looking at a sun. You're actually looking at the front end of a web press. Think of a roll of toilet paper. It has a corrugated core and then paper around it. That's what a web press does, but on a larger scale. So if you look at that logo, you're not actually looking at a sun, you're looking at the front end of a web press, a roll of paper feeding into a press, symbolic of bringing trucking and custom printing together. Author Jack Gernsheim says this. He says, a logo should be born of intelligent thought. If you have a hidden meaning in your logo, give yourself a point. Readable. Graphic artists love to use fancy fonts and serifs. So what the heck is a serif? Look at the A, B, C alphabet there at the top of your screen. You'll notice little parts of it highlighted in red. Those are serifs. Those things can make it hard and difficult to read and reproduce. Look at Mutual Propane logo below that. That has a very simple font, no serifs, easy to read. If your logo is easy to read, give yourself a point. Should be clean. Chemex, another one of our customers. Avoid overuse of ink coverage, special effects, and graphics. The dictum less is more applies here. Simple blue logo, 2 red stripes. If your logo is clean, give yourself a point. Here's another logo that we actually created for Transcontinental. Your logo should build trust. It should distinguish your company from your competition by standing out with a distinctive appearance. Are you your own brand, or are you like everyone else's? If your logo builds trust, give yourself a point. Should be modern. Now look at the challenge that Select Equipment on the right of your screen has. They sell forklifts. I cannot think of a more unromantic, unsexy, unglamorous product line than forklifts. But look at the logo. It's racy, it's sexy, it's modern, it's 3D. Dated logos, am I saying, are they bad? No, think of In-N-Out Burger. It's vintage. That is good. But oftentimes a logo can look outdated or vapid, and that's bad. So it's best to be in the vanguard. Lead, don't follow. The question here is your logo as modern as your business model? If it isn't, no point. If it is, give yourself a point. And finally, streamline. Think of going to a butcher and buying a hunk of meat, and you bring it home. The first thing you want to do is trim off some of that excess fat. You need to trim off the excess fat in your logo as well. Cut out the distractions, eliminate incorporated, LLC, corporation, etc. How do you do this? Well, take a test drive. Look at billboards, sites of trucks and buildings, see how other companies are doing. Again, Mountain Valley Freight Solutions has done a great job. So now the test. We're looking at the 10 best qualities of any great logo. You have your logo in front of you. Now I'm going to ask for you to rate your logo. Is it functional? 2 colors or less? Flat graphics. Is it simple? Give yourself a point. Does it grab attention like McDonald's? Is it professional? Do you have a hidden meaning? If not, don't give yourself any points. Is it readable? Clean? Does it build trust? Modern? And finally, is it streamlined? Now, the 80-20 rule applies here. If you got an 8 or above on scoring, your logo's in great shape. Well, what do you do if your logo didn't pass the test, didn't get an 8 or more? Well, we're going to give you 5 easy do-it-yourself steps to update your logo. Step number 1, identify and preserve your logo's best qualities. Richard Bartolik's company, American Pacific, and we got his permission to kind of play with this logo a little bit. We added, for illustration purposes, the ink after the name and CTA slogan, we drive for a living, safety is our priority. Now we know the first thing we want to do is identify the best qualities and preserve them. The name, American Pacific, has to stay, and American relates to a flag, so we know we want to keep the flag symbol as part of the logo. Okay, step number 2, convert your logo to black and white. That's easy to do. Go over to the copy machine, make a photocopy. Why are we having you do this? So you can focus strictly on the design and not color. Then eliminate any unnecessary, eliminate any unnecessary elements, taglines, and special effects. We're trimming the fat here. We're taking off ink and the slogan. And also, from a manufacturing perspective, we know that those little rules are problematic in the logo. The rules can gain ink, they can dissipate. Also, the equal spacing between the red and the white can actually create the red to look pink at times. So from a manufacturing perspective, what we are doing is reducing the number of horizontal rules. And you see in the logo there to the left, there's fewer lines now. Then add color back. Move on to step number 3, optimize readability. We want you to pick a half dozen fonts. You'll see on your screen there's an A, B, C, D, and E. And we've already taught you that D is not even a possibility. It has a fancy font and serifs. In this case, the customer chose the E, which is a bold italicized font. And you can see it below there. And step number 4 is the KISS principle. Keep it simple. Replace complex elements with simple ones. We took away those fine lines. Use flat graphics, cut down a number of ink colors. If you don't do anything else with your logo, step 4 and 5 that I'm about to introduce are the most important. This is where most graphic people fall short. They make it look great graphically, aesthetically, but then it's difficult to reproduce in a manufacturing environment. But we're not done. Step number 5, and this is critical. If you adopt a new logo, make sure you do this exercise. Check it in different media, please. How does it look on a pen? How does it look on a business form? How does it look on a smartphone? And how does it look on a t-shirt? So now on your screen, you'll see the before and after by following these 5 easy do-it-yourself steps. And I also want to draw your attention to the real estate that's involved with this. If we were to draw a white box around the logos on the left and the right, you'd see they take the same space. It's like buying real estate. Say you wanted to go out and buy a half acre and develop it. What are you going to do on that half acre? Look at the difference on what's been developed in a logo space on the left versus right. Which one is quicker to identify and easier to read? The answer is obvious. Here's another illustration, Quickway Trucking Company, the before and after. So now we're ready to recap 5 easy do-it-yourself steps to update your logo. Step number 1, identify and preserve your logo's best qualities. Number 2, convert your logo to black and white. 3, optimize readability. And 4 and 5 are the most important. If you take nothing away from this presentation, take these 2 steps away. Keep it simple. Reduce the number of ink colors, flat graphics, and then check it in different media. Throughout this presentation, we've been looking at lots of logos. We're going to next take a look at the oldest, most expensive, and the best in the industry and the best in the world. We actually saw the most expensive recently, Pepsi Cola, and we're now looking at the oldest, Bass Red Triangle. Question, what year was this logo trademarked? How about 140 years ago? Bass Red Triangle, trademarked in the year 1876. Now, what you've all been waiting for, the best in the industry. We scoured the countryside, locally, regionally, nationally, to find logos that best represented the 10 attributes we discussed. And we found one that hits it out of the park. So I know you're on your edge of your seat. Hear the drum roll. The envelope's being passed. The answer is night transportation. If you go back over those 10 qualities, you'll see that all those attributes are contained in this logo. Congratulations to night transportation. Now on your screen, you're going to see over 150 logos. These are our customers. And the reason they're on the screen is not to boast about our abilities, but to let you know that when we get you as a customer, we go the extra mile. We're going to take the logo that you send us in whatever file format you give it to us, and oftentimes it shows up low resolution, bitmap, 2nd or 3rd generation. And we're going to spend 3 to 5 hours, and we're going to recreate your logo from scratch. So we have original 1st generation artwork. We're going to keep it in our repository, locked up in our vault. And anytime you need your logo, you're going to have 1st generation available. So you're sponsoring a golf tournament, and you're going to have a T sign made. Rest assured, if we provide a TIFF or a GIF or a PDF file to that vendor, you're going to get the best quality. If you're making something for the side of a truck, pulling it up that large to 53 feet, it's still going to look good. We would like an opportunity to compete for your custom printing. We offer a no-cost, no-obligation print comparison. If you'd like, we'll send you out a catalog size envelope. That envelope is pre-addressed to come back to us, and we pay the postage. All you have to do is have your office put samples in it of everything your office has custom printed. Business forms, checks, envelopes, business cards, brochures, and the like. When we get it, we'll do a production system and graphic analysis, and then we'll send it all back to you in about 10 days in a nice blue binder. Inside that binder, you'll have a price list, an order form, redesigned from our award-winning art department. And all we ask is an opportunity to compete for your business. Down the road, when something comes up for order, pull your binder off the shelf, compare prices. If it saves money, makes sense, consider ordering through your association. On your screen, you're going to see in the top left-hand corner a link. Now, this link you need to write down. I've learned that you can't copy and paste that. And if you will write down bit.ly/print-comparison, and you type that into your browser, this fillable form will appear on your screen. You'll give us your company name, your email address, phone number, and we'll even send you a copy of today's presentation. So let's review. We looked at the top 3 reasons why a trucking company should adopt a new logo. We looked at the 10 best qualities of any great logo, and we asked you to rate your logo honestly. And if it scored 8 or above, you did great. If it's less than 8, you think that there's some room for improvement. We then provided you 5 easy do-it-yourself steps to update your logo. And throughout the entire presentation, we have glanced at over 150 logos. We saw the oldest, most expensive, best in the industry, in our opinion, best in the world. Resources you can check out, books, website, our company information is listed on the screen. References, if you want to do your own in-depth study, you want to drill down on logos, here are the references that we used throughout the presentation. question and answers, obviously. You can use that link to send us any questions. We'd be glad to answer those for you. And again, my name is Ron Whalen. I'm a board of director for the California Trucking Association, and it's my privilege to run the CTA Printing Co-op program. And on behalf of the association, I want to thank you for your membership. Your participation makes our voice louder, and you make us stronger as an industry. I'm Ron Whalen. Thank you for attending our webinar.